And the last family, the enmeshed family, these are less common, but they are, as we say, very deadly in the way that they create children, or the way the children grow up. The saddest thing about this is often, I have seen in my experience, children to get out of these families have to do something really radical. Teenage pregnancy is a major problem. Teenage suicide is another major problem that happens. And I've seen this many, many times. And I questioned a couple that I was marrying. And I said, tell me who makes the decision. Now, they were from both enmeshed families. Who makes the decision in your family? Dad does. I said, well, how do you know what to do? Do you know what to do? That's right, we just asked Dad. He tells us. They didn't even see that they wanted to make choices for themselves. So when they got married, they went and lived with Mum and Dad. So extremely close family. Loyalty is demanded. Home and family members are important. In fact, these are sort of family. I mean, there's a bit of a joke about the Italian mamas. You know the Italian mamas? You know the mafia, the stories of the mafia? Anyone else touched the family, they would kill them, right? But they were busy fighting all the time amongst themselves because that was enmeshed. They were trying to pull apart. No private space is allowed and time is kept to a minimum. Parents discourage their children from having friends. They won't like friends. They won't like their friends. Children are kept in line by parents who make them feel bad every time they start acting for themselves. No child in this family will have an opinion of their own. They have no self-confidence as well. That's part of the problem. Children give up their individuality in order to please the parents. Now, they don't do this consciously, but it happens. It happens unconsciously, and they start making choices. They become very afraid to move outside of the family, make choices. A friend of mine, actually the lady I was telling you about with the boys, her sister was even worse, dare I say. And when she married, they lived, very wealthy family lived in a very wealthy part of our city. When her daughters were getting married, or wanting to get married, mother bought 3 properties and built a beautiful house in the middle, and then another house on one side and another house on the other side. And she said, girls, when you marry, you can come and live in these houses. These are our gifts to you. Right? How would you feel about that? There's the extravagant giving to buy. And I did one of the weddings, and I saw this, and I said to the young man, you really are going to have a problem to get away from mother-in-law. Oh no, he said, I can do it, I'm strong enough. Well, his marriage lasted 18 months. And the other sister got married, and her marriage lasted 6 months. Why? Because they weren't prepared to have a protecting enmeshed family in which they were trying to be a part of. And they wouldn't submit to mum, so mum quietly destroyed them. Okay, children are always anxious to please in order to be accepted. A child who's from an enmeshed family, can walk into the house and instantly know what the house is like, what's going on, who's upset and who's not. They have a canny sense for environment. This house doesn't feel right. My house is not right. They can tell, oh, mum's upset, I better go. You better go home. Complaints, guilt and accusations are common as methods of control and discipline. And often discipline is very harsh. So, question. What do you think about your family, your childhood family? Now, we're not talking about your family now, but we're going to ask you next session to think about what family you are in now. Okay? What sort of family you are in now. You're going to think about control. And there's a little exercise on the bottom of page 5, and I'll get over to come and lead you in this exercise.
Okay, so these are just some things for you to perhaps think about or to discuss with your neighbour. It's about who had control in the family. Now we've looked at our family styles where we see where there's no control, or there's individual control, or there's an overwhelming control in the enmeshed family. We've seen it in the protecting family where the children are in control. And so there's often quite a variety of who's in control in the family. And also where you feel your family fitted on the individuality and relationship balance. How was that? And we've got one person who says they come from a bonding family, so that must have been in good balance. I remember when I was a child growing up, my parents were farmers, and so in a way it was chaotic in that there was nobody there. My mum would be helping my father, and I often woke up in the morning to an empty house and got my own breakfast. And I remember trying to cook, and I just learnt to read, so I sort of put a recipe together to cook something. So that was my, I guess, strong individuality, was being forced to come into being. So the next exercise, so that's something to think about. And also, what brought out the best in you as a child? Was it control, over control, under control, and incidents that happened? So finally, to finish this, can you identify the family style you grew up in? Just quickly, if you think about it too much, it gets a bit blurry. But just as it would be one dominant style, there might be others there as well. But there's probably one dominant style. So you identify your family style, because you need that for the next session. And also the other question is, what begins the formation of relationship for a child? Is there anyone that can remember that? The formation of relationship for a newborn. It's the way we respond to them when they're just a new baby is so important. So looking at your page 6, just preparing for session 2, is about how your parents set limits or boundaries. Because this often helps you identify your family style. So were there too many, just enough, not enough? Were they inconsistent, like one day on, one day off? Harshly or no limits? And there's just a little exercise there for you to quickly go through about when I was a child, my mother set too many limits to no limits. And my father, which parent were you closest to? Which parent had the most influence on you, and which parent are you like the most? Not which one do you like, but the one that you follow after in your manner and in your ways. And that is the end of session 1. So, well done, people. And we'll see you next time.